Hello and welcome back to the Ironman. So one thing for me that's been a bit overwhelming is what do you do after Prif? So unlocking Priftiness is a huge goal for just about every account, let alone Ironman account. But once you get that, there's a lot of different skills you can train, a lot of different quests you can do, a lot of different things you can work on that will progress your account and make it better. But what do you actually focus on? For me, it's been a little bit overwhelming. So what I've tried to do is narrow it down to a few different short-term goals that will each take probably a couple of weeks of really focused working on them in order to accomplish, as well as quite a few quests that I think will be good to unlock as well. And I want to leave this really open to feedback and suggestions, and my biggest weakness in playing RuneScape 3 these days is, of course, I missed most of the updates and content that has come out within the last few years, and I don't have a whole lot of knowledge. I mean, I've heard of some things, but there are a lot of new pieces of content that have come out relatively recently that are awesome for Ironman to unlock that I just don't know about. So if you guys notice anything that I really missed in this video that should be very important to prioritize and unlock as soon as possible, let me know and I'll take that into account as well. So the first goal that I really want to prioritize and unlock as soon as possible is prayer training. So my plan for prayer training up until 92, where Soul Split is unlocked, is to do it mostly at the Cleansing Crystal in Priftiness at the Hefen Monastery. Of course, during the Hefen Voice of Saren, because it's better XP for your GP if you do it there. Post 92, the Soul Split curse is unlocked, which makes, well, really most forms of combat much easier, but particularly Vyres. So the plan post 92 is to kill Vyres, Vyre Lords and Vyre Ladies, up until level 95, at which point Turmoil and the ranged and magic equivalents of it are unlocked. So the plan for getting the money in order to fund this project is Slayer and also killing Vyre Lords and Vyre Ladies themselves. So at my current stats and gear and equipment and everything, I can't really kill Vyre Lords efficiently, but I can kill them in a kind of AFK way that is pretty slow for prayer XP, but does give a decent amount of GP. So I'm planning on doing that and using a lot of the alcohols that you get for killing Vyre Lords to fund the cash to train prayer. The next skill I really want to plan on prioritizing is crafting. So I have a few minor things listed here that are going to be great unlocks for crafting, but it's also going to play into unlocking invention, which I'll talk about next. Some other things that I want to prioritize with crafting is 79 crafting allows me to make a Ring of Death once I have a Hydrix, as well as an Onyx. Still don't have one of those yet. But also 89 crafting is really important for creating crystal flasks, and then at 99 crafting, or a level where you can boost to 99, is huge for unlocking the Amulet of Souls. Obviously requires an additional Onyx and Hydrix for doing that. Next is, of course, unlocking Invention. So Invention is a really important skill that augments all sorts of things, and not all of them are combat related. There's a lot of skilling related bonuses that you can get for unlocking Invention as well, but the main reason I want it is for augmenting the Sun Spear and making it a more effective both Slayer and PVM weapon. So the goal here is 80 crafting, of course, which we're not that far away from right now, but I also need to get up to 80 divination for unlocking Invention. So currently I am at level 63, so it's going to be a bit of a grind. I'm going to have to get over my fear of doing dailies and really try to get into some of those Gethixian caches and really train up some divination, but once I get to 80, unlocking Invention will be huge, and it's a super important skill, so helpful for PVM and for skilling in the long run. So the next thing that I want to train, and the reason why this is further down the list is because it's going to take a couple of weeks until I'm really ready to make the final push, but it's 91 HERBLORE, and that is because that's a level that you can easily boost to create overloads. So currently I'm getting 54,000 HERBLORE experience every single day with the Jack of Trades aura. So if all I did was Jack of Trades, it would take me 47 days from today in order to get 91 HERBLORE. Obviously that's quite a while. A decent amount of the XP will come from Jack of Trades, but as you can see from my bank, I have a lot of herbs saved up from Firewatch and Slayer and farming, and I continue to farm, and I'm doing penguins, so there are other sources of XP as well. Next, let's talk about Slayer. So I don't have any particular levels mentioned here because I don't have like a specific Slayer level I'm going for. The main reason to train Slayer, well, there's two reasons. One is stats, getting 90 plus in all my combat stats, so that's attack, strength, ranged, and prayer is going to be a big goal. I think it's important to have at least that before you get really serious into PVM. But also there are a lot of Slayer monsters to unlock that give great rewards, whether it's the corrupted creatures that you kill in the Sophonim Slayer dungeon, or whether it is the Vile Blooms and all the Slayer monsters on Anachronia, or whether it's like the Abyssal creatures. Like there's a lot, especially when you get into the 90s Slayer level, where the rewards, they just drop a specific item that's really strong, or they drop a ton of cash, or they're just kind of insane training XP. Lots of different reasons to do Slayer. It's a great skill overall to do, great for training. In the long run, getting charms for summoning is going to be big too. So I do want to continue to prioritize that. And then also the cash that we get, Slayer makes a lot of just cold hard GP. And that is all going to be funneled into prayer in the short term, and then in the longer term, skills like summoning as well. Next, I want to talk about ports. So unfortunately, my ports progress has not been as fast as I would have hoped when I first unlocked it, but I have still been doing ports, and I'm currently in the 4th region. And my hope is to continue working towards those tier 88 1 orb that you can unlock from ports, which is going to be a really powerful magic weapon and, one of our best magic options for a long time, probably when we get there. But there are some high skill requirements for ports, even when you have the resources to make the stuff. 92 fletching is a big unlock for Scrimshaw Vampirism. You need 90 smithing and crafting for the tier 85 tank, melee, and ranged armors. And then I'll also need 92 rune crafting in order to create the wand and orb themselves. So we're really not yet close to those final ports regions where you really start to get more of the ports resources in bulk. So thankfully we have quite a bit of time to train these skills up. So I also made a list of quests, and the reason I chose these specific quests is because the rewards are really big. Each of these quests will probably take like a full week to really work towards and get completed, or at least most of them will. There are definitely many smaller quests that I could just go and do whenever, and the rewards are worth it, but I didn't mention quests like that. So first of all is Brink of Extinction. Getting access to that obsidian armor is going to be huge, especially on a hardcore Ironman. I'm kind of a chicken, and I don't necessarily want to take on the fight kiln until I have that armor. So that's going to be an important unlock. Next is Children of Ma. The Nightmare Gauntlets are one of the best ranged gauntlets in the game. It makes Snipe, which is one of the best range basics, way more viable for Araxor, and also the gauntlets are just have good stats in and of themselves. Next is Extinction, which is a relatively new Grandmaster quest. It is not one that I have ever done before, but it does give some really good rewards. It's kind of the culmination of the Elder God quest line. Many of these quests came out within the last few years, but it has some really good rewards. The Animate Dead spell, which is one of the strongest defensive spells that you can use, and also you get access to the Enriched Pontifex Shadow Ring, which has a bunch of benefits, and also you can give yourself a passive Ring of Vigor bonus after completing some steps after the quest. So from that point onward, you can always, whenever you use an ultimate, get 10% of your adrenaline back without having to either wear the ring or switch to the ring, which is huge. So I really do want to get this quest done. The Light Within, as everyone knows, the Saren's spells and prayers are incredibly useful. There's a whole bunch of them: Light Form, Crystal Mask, Superheat Form. It just provides a super useful toolkit, more so for skilling than for slaying or PVM, but still an important quest to prioritize. Some more quests here. Ritual of the Mahjarrat is a classic, one of the first Grandmaster quests, and always been my favorite quest. So GLACORS, really good Slayer task. The Stone of Jas boost can't be underrated. It has a damage boost whenever you're doing anything in God War's dungeon, so it is a great boost to go and get before you go on a next solo trip or something like that. Also access to Bane Bolts and Rune Dragons after you complete Fate of the Gods as well. Slisky's Endgame, I've heard a lot about this quest, haven't done it before, but the one thing I do know is you get 1.25 million free experience in any skill of your choice, as long as it's 85 plus, which that is a lot of XP. And you also get Ring of Whispers and a Catalyst, which are super useful skilling items. So I've heard a lot about how, annoying or painstaking or difficult this quest is. I have yet to experience it myself, but I'm excited to try it. Temple at Sintiston, obviously this is going to come in combination with getting 92 prayer, but access to Ancient Curses, which means Soul Split, which means Turmoil, that's going to be a huge unlock. And then I listed a few other quests here that I do want to kind of prioritize after I get these other big ones done, or maybe along the way, but Chosen Commander is big, just teleport to God War's dungeon, super handy. Curse of the Black Stone is going to be important to get done before I take on many of the elite dungeons, because you get a damage reduction in the elite dungeons when you have that quest complete. Hero's Welcome is kind of like the final Fremennik quest. It's more of a lore quest, but it's kind of a wrap up, and you get a lot of XP and rewards along the way. Lunar Diplomacy, obviously, for the Lunar Spellbook, and Pieces of Hate. None of the rewards stood out to me as super awesome. I mean, you do get a book that teleports you to many of the pirate island locations, which could be useful for farm runs and stuff like that. But I just enjoy the pirate quests personally, and I want to finish up that quest line. And now finally, last but not least, we're back to my farming run that I've been doing the whole time in the background here. But with the recently release of the Garden of Carid and the new reward system for farming herbs, I do want to prioritize unlocking all of the farming stuff when it comes to farming herbs. So that means there are several miscellaneous upgrades that just make farming herbs better or more convenient, or unlocking more patches and stuff like that. So some examples: doing the wilderness task for the wilderness sword to teleport you to the herb patch in the wilderness would be big. Doing the lumberjane draenor task for the ring that teleports you to that herb patch. And then also doing my arm's big adventure for unlocking the patch on top of Trollheim. So there's also some other unlocks like juju farming potions that increase the yield when harvesting herbs. Other things that I need to get done. So I'm probably going to devote just a week to unlocking all of that stuff all in one fell swoop, and just make my herb runs way more efficient and yield a lot more herbs, which is going to be big because Herblore is an elite skill. It goes all the way to 120. I'm going to need a lot of herbs. I'm going to have to do a lot of farming, especially because bosses no longer drop herbs now. So as an Ironman, you got to farm them yourself. That's your only option. Okay, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching this bonus episode. I just kind of wanted to get a lot of these goals and thoughts out there for what a mid-game Ironman after unlocking Prifddinas should be working towards. So yeah, I welcome your guys' feedback. If there are any really obvious huge unlocks that I need to prioritize that I completely forgot about, let me know about those. Alright, and with that, I'm planning on continuing to work on some of this AFK stuff. I will see you guys next time, so until then, goodbye.